Let's get some headlines from across the state of Texas.
Yeah.
So let's start in the college ranks. So the spring transfer portal is now out. It's open. You can enter the transfer portal. This is one of the 2 times. My watch is yelling at me.
I wondered what that was.
Do you know what it said?
What?
We're back.
We are so back.
The spring transfer portal is open. And there have been a number of teams that have, a number of programs across the state of Texas that have been hit relatively hard by the transfer portal. Now remember, if you enter the transfer portal, you can always go back to that school. However, I would say that feels unlikely.
Yeah.
It happens sometimes.
Yeah.
But doesn't happen very, very often.
And I mean, sometimes it's literally just the fact that they want to see what other thing is out there, and then they go,
Yes.
no, I didn't get the offers I thought I was going to.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to work for me. So I do want to talk a little bit about some of these big high-profile ones. This one came down today. Reported by Carter Yates on TexasFootball.com. Sam Houston is losing, arguably, I think there's a real argument to be made their best player.
Yeah.
DeMarcus Cosby II, who was an all-conference safety for them last year, is entering the transfer portal. This was a guy who was an all-conference player. Kilgore College, I should say.
Yes.
Kilgore College before he transferred to Sam Houston, where he was really good. 4 interceptions. Led the team in interceptions with 4 of them, and a big-time playmaker. He is likely to go to a power. We call it Power 4 now?
Yeah, I don't know.
Pac-12 doesn't really exist anymore.
Nothing. We got to stop
really
naming things after numbers. Let's make that a very well-known thing in college football. No more numbers.
You mean the Big 12?
With 14 teams, now 18 or
16.
It's 16.
Anyway.
No more numbers.
But
I'm out on
Conference
numbers.
USA figured it out early.
Yeah, exactly.
But DeMarcus Cosby II is entering the transfer portal. This is a huge blow, I think, for Sam Houston, and really, really hurts them moving forward. We had really high hopes for them, especially to be really strong defensively heading into 2024. Certainly, they're more than just DeMarcus Cosby, but this hurts big time, I would say. So Sam Houston is reeling now, as is arguably Houston. The Houston Cougars, of course, with new coach Willie Fritz taking over. I would say overall, they've held the team together pretty well. Like all things considered, considering you're going through a coaching change, you're always going to have turnover with that. But I would say, grading on that curve, Willie Fritz has done a decent job of holding the program together. That took a turn yesterday when Sam Brown announced that he is entering the transfer portal. Sam Brown, of course, is their leading receiver, led the team with 815 yards last year. He began his career at West Virginia, broke out with the Cougars in 2023, 62 catches, 815 yards. He was honorable mention All Big 12, finished 5th in the nation in receptions per game. So now they lose Sam Brown and Matthew Golden, both of which.
Not ideal.
That's tough.
The Matthew Golden one was a big.
Matthew Golden was a big one because he was kind of their shining star and like the next big thing for them.
He was always that like spark for them too. Like when they needed something to like, oh hey, we need to turn this around. Like boom, there was the speed from Matthew Golden. Yeah.
Yeah, but now their receiver core is looking pretty thin there at Houston as they will lose Sam Brown, who's entered the transfer portal. And then also TCU. TCU took one on the chin yesterday when Dominic Williams, their big defensive tackle, has entered the transfer portal. This is a guy who has started 27 consecutive games for them. Was a freshman All-American on that national title team, national title playing team, college football playoff team.
There we go.
In 2022, he was freshman All-American, has been a real star for them. We at Dave Campbell's, when we did our Texas 10, where we were rating, like talking about like different position groups and just ranking the best players, we had him number 2 in interior defensive lineman. And now he is entering the transfer portal. He will be, Carter Yates writes on TexasFootball.com that he will be one of the hottest commodities in the transfer portal, and I tend to agree with Carter on this point. Not usually,
not normal.
But this time, I think that he's got something there. So the transfer portal is popping right now. We will keep you covered every step of the way at TexasFootball.com. Some sad news to report. This came down, I think, on Monday, Sunday or Monday.
So.
And that is that Steve Sloan has passed away. There is a segment of our listening audience who probably don't know who Steve Sloan is. But there are another segment of the population where this is a very big deal. Steve Sloan, the former Texas Tech head coach, and actually the last coach to win a conference title at Texas Tech. Back in 1976, that was the last time that Texas Tech won an outright conference title in football when they won the Southwest Conference. Steve Sloan was at the helm there. They won 10 games in 1976. His defensive coordinator on that team, 1976 Texas Tech, do you know this?
Mm-mm.
Bill Parcells.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. Makes sense why they won a conference championship.
He went 23-12. He left Tech to become, in late 1977, he left to go be the head coach at Ole Miss. He was a national champion quarterback at Alabama in his playing days. It was Alabama, I believe, who first reported the news. Like, they put it out there because he's well known there at Alabama. But Steve Sloan has passed away. Apparently, he had spent the past few months in memory care, so it had been a health issue that had been lingering for him. But Steve Sloan, the last Texas Tech head coach to win a conference championship, has passed away at the age of 79. And finally, Pickle, let's get some coaching changes from across the state of Texas in the high school football ranks, because even though it is April 18th, and we will talk about this coming up here in the second half of the show, and the coaching carousel is winding to a close,
that does not mean that it's over.
It ain't closed yet. There are still some big coaching changes around the state of Texas. One of them, Denver City is looking for a new head coach. Daniel Fontenot has retired, announced his retirement late in the game, where I would say this is a guy who, he had a long coaching career in both the 6-man and 11-man ranks, but he spent the last 12 seasons at Denver City, including being their head coach, and went 53-37 in that time. Denver City, basically a perennial playoff team. My guess on this, as far as Denver City is concerned, with a retirement like this late in the game, my guess is that he signaled this to other people in charge.
Right. Yeah.
And I would expect a relatively speedy process here. I don't think they're going to let this thing linger. My guess, I don't think that he surprised DCISD by saying, hey, I'm retiring. I think they've probably got some ducks in a row that they've been working on.
Absolutely.
So that's one thing. Let's go to Merkel, home of the Badgers.
Badger.
Our friend Brooke has got family in Merkel.
Yeah.
They have a new head coach.
Big Merkel energy.
And it's actually a pretty big deal. Merkel has been looking for a head coach when Will Cates left to become the offensive coordinator at Eagle Mountain. Follow me on this. Remember, Jeremy Mullins, head coach at Toller, left Toller to become the head coach at Eagle Mountain. He went and he called Will Cates, the head coach at Merkel, and said, hey, I'm starting this new program here at Eagle Mountain, the Saginaw area. I want you to be my offensive coordinator. He left Merkel, leaving Merkel open. Merkel has now hired Wes Wood to be their next head coach. Wes Wood is coming from Snyder. Snyder, he's done a fantastic job. Wood's a mule shoe guy. He spent the past 5 years at Snyder, where he led them to the playoffs 3 times, including, you go back to 2021, they went to the regional semifinals there with the Tigers. And so he will now move over to take over the Badgers of Merkel. So keep an eye on that. That's big doings there. Snyder is now open as well, so keep an eye on that. Those are really the biggest ones. The other one that I would say is that San Antonio, down in the San Antonio area, you go down there and San Antonio Brandeis, a perennial power in the San Antonio area, they are looking for a new head coach. This came down basically after our show last Thursday. Yeah. Last Thursday.
Pretty soon afterwards.
Brandeis is looking for a new head coach. Charles Bruce has been promoted into administration there at Northside ISD. David Hinojosa, our friend of the San Antonio Express News, first reported this, that San Antonio Brandeis is looking for a new head coach. Before he was at Brandeis, he was the head coach at Wagner. And you remember Wagner, 28 and 29, or in 2018 and 2019, they were cruising. They were the powerhouse in Region 4.
Yeah, they were
5A Division 1. And made it to 2 straight state semifinals in 5A Division 1. They ran that kind of double slot offense there with Wagner. He went and took over at Brandeis. He's now moving into Northside ISD administration. So San Antonio Brandeis, a high-profile job in the San Antonio area, is looking for a new head coach. So those are some of the coaching changes. You can find all of them on TexasFootball.com and keep up to date on all the things in high school football and college football and recruiting and,
everything.
Stuff.
We got a lot of...
Is Powers going to the barbecue competition again?
I would be shocked if he wasn't.
So we'll have some barbecue content for you.
Yeah.
TexasFootball.com. It's basically like everything.
Yeah.
Right.
Jelly of the month.
It's the everything app.
Yep.
TexasFootball.com.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you would like more and to be notified when they come out, go ahead and click that subscribe button right down there. You can also watch Texas Football Today every day live at noon on TexasFootball.com, Facebook, Twitch, and right here on YouTube. For more of the best coverage of Texas football in the Lone Star State, go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe.